who had left it behind. According to their later testimony, they believed the gun was unloaded. It wasn't meant to be a threat, it was just a prop in the moment, something to joke about. As Mary Ann showed off the gun, they pointed it at their friend Helen Hastings, who was just 18 years old at the time. Laughing, she started waving the weapon around. It was meant to be a harmless, edgy joke amongst friends. But then, in an instant, the gun went off. A bullet had struck Helen in the head and she collapsed instantly. The friends scrambled, calling 911 as Mary Ann reportedly broke down, screaming in shock. Emergency responders arrived quickly, but there was really nothing they could do. Helen was pronounced dead at the scene. When police arrived, Mary Ann immediately claimed the shooting was an accident. She said she had no idea the gun was loaded and that they had pulled the trigger without meaning to fire. According to their account, they had played with the gun before, dry firing it multiple times in the past, believing it was empty. Not long after the incident, they were arrested and charged with manslaughter, a second-degree felony in Texas. If convicted, they faced up to 20 years in prison. Mary Ann's defense was very simple. They never intended to harm anyone. They claimed to have believed the gun was unloaded and had even dry fired it multiple times in the past without an issue. That night, they thought it was just another harmless joke, but prosecutors weren't quite convinced. Anyone with a brain should know you never point a gun at someone unless you intend to shoot them. If Mary Ann had truly played with the gun before, why hadn't they checked to see if it was loaded that night? And more importantly, how had a bullet ended up in the chamber? Even if they hadn't meant to fire, handling a real firearm so carelessly was an act of gross negligence, one that resulted in the death of an innocent person. Despite the serious charges, Mary Ann was released on bond while awaiting trial. For a while, the case remained relatively unknown outside of Texas. The public had no idea that a popular TikTok creator was facing criminal charges for a fatal shooting. But as court documents surfaced and the details began to spread online, outrage started to erupt. Even after being charged with manslaughter, Mary Ann didn't disappear from the internet entirely. In fact, they continued making TikToks as if nothing had happened at all. For most people, it was deeply unsettling to see someone involved in such a tragic event acting as if it was just a minor setback. Unlike many high-profile cases, the legal process surrounding Yandere Freak's charges became somewhat of a mystery. There has been very little public information about the outcome of the case, leaving many questions unanswered. The lack of clear updates has only added to the unsettling nature of the case, leaving people wondering how someone involved in such a tragic event seemingly faded into the background. Kira Hart was a 14-year-old girl from Queensland, Australia. Sometime in March 2023, Kira was invited to a sleepover. The girl who invited her, Renisha Gretsch, wasn't a stranger. She was someone Kira knew, a so-called friend. There was no reason to say no. She arrived at the house, probably expecting to watch a film, eat snacks, and laugh with her friends. But instead, the door shut behind her, and the atmosphere changed immediately. What she thought was going to be a fun night with friends turned into something much darker. It started with simple taunting. The girls at the sleepover, the same ones who had invited her over, weren't acting like friends anymore. They surrounded her, making fun of her, and started off just by bullying her. Over the next few hours, she would experience a level of cruelty that's hard to imagine. The betrayal, the violence, and the sheer lack of humanity was made worse by the fact that they made sure to record everything. At first, Kira's friends and family had no idea what had happened to her. When she finally came back from the sleepover, she was barely recognizable. Her face was swollen and bruised, her body covered in wounds. But the full horror of what she endured wouldn't be understood until the footage surfaced online. In the video, Kira is seen cowering, crying, and begging for it to stop. But there was no mercy. The girls who are supposed to be her friends are now her tormentors, taking turns hitting, kicking, and slicing her with knives. They pulled her by her hair, mocking her and laughing, as if it were some sort of game. The video was first uploaded to Snapchat and TikTok by the attackers themselves. They bragged about what they had done, almost as if they were proud of it. But once the footage made its way onto Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, it started to spread more quickly. Despite social media platforms taking the video down, it had already been reshared thousands of times. And under the mounting pressure, authorities soon took action. The three girls responsible, Chloe Denman, sisters Renisha and Shania Gretsch, were arrested and faced multiple charges, including assault occasioning bodily harm and deprivation of liberty. But due to their ages, with the youngest of them being 12, it's very likely that they will not face any sort of heavy punishment. We're now on level 4 of the iceberg. Dino and Zara were one of those couples. Their videos, pranks, challenges, and everyday moments built a loyal audience, with fans calling them relationship goals. But social media often hides reality. On July 4th, 2024, something went terribly wrong. An argument broke out between Dino and Zara, the details of which are still unclear, but it quickly escalated into something far more dangerous than anyone could have expected. In a moment of rage, Dino allegedly pulled out a weapon, aimed it at Zara's face, and fired it. Neighbors and emergency responders rushed to the scene, finding Zara in critical condition. She was immediately transported to the hospital, where doctors worked desperately to save her life. Miraculously, she survived the shooting, but the injuries she suffered were severe. While Zara was in a hospital bed fighting to recover from her injuries, Dino was facing the full force of the law. Authorities arrested him in connection with the shooting, and he was booked into jail. Reports from the Flower Mound Police Department confirmed the details of the incident, and soon, mugshots of the once popular TikToker were circulating on the platform. And even after everything, they're back together. Recent posts show them side by side, acting like nothing ever happened. Dino was only sentenced to 10 years of probation, as his defense argued that it was purely accidental. Though that still doesn't explain the argument why Dino would retrieve a gun and then point it at the woman he's meant to love most. Terrion Ishmael Thomas, better known as Mr. Prada, had over 4 million followers on TikTok. Thomas built an audience through comedy skits that often covered very mundane topics like dating, family, and school life, with his expressive delivery making him a favourite for TikTok's For You page. But soon, his name would make headlines for something far darker. On the morning of September 29th, 2024, Louisiana authorities received a call that would set off a shocking investigation. A body had been found, dumped on the side of the road in St. John the Baptist Parish, a quiet area just outside New Orleans. The victim was wrapped in a blue tarp, his body discarded as if someone had wanted to make him disappear. When the police arrived, they uncovered a brutal crime scene. The victim was 69-year-old William Abraham, a therapist and former Catholic priest from the area. He had been beaten to death, suffering from severe head trauma that suggested a violent struggle. There were no signs of a robbery though. His wallet and belongings were still intact. Whoever had done this wasn't after money. At first, the investigators struggled to understand who could have wanted Abraham dead. By all accounts, he was a respected member of the community, known for helping people through their struggles. But as detectives dug deeper, a trail of evidence would lead them to a suspect no one expected: TikTok star Mr. Prada. Surveillance footage from the night before the discovery held a crucial clue. Cameras had captured Abraham walking into an apartment, but he would never come back out. That apartment belonged to Terrion Ishmael Thomas, Mr. Prada himself. More disturbing details quickly emerged. Witnesses reported seeing Thomas dragging a large blue tarp to a car, struggling under the weight of whatever was inside. When police found Abraham's vehicle abandoned later that day, they made another discovery. Mr. Prada had been the one driving it. With the evidence stacking up, one thing was clear. This wasn't just a random attack, but what had really happened inside that apartment? And what connection did a 69-year-old therapist have to a 20-year-old TikTok star? Those answers would only lead to more unsettling questions. Detectives quickly confirmed something unsettling. Thomas had never been a client of Abraham's. This ruled out any standard therapist-patient relationship, leaving authorities searching for another connection. If their meeting wasn't professional, then what had brought them together that night? With mounting evidence, police issued a warrant for Thomas's arrest. But by the time law enforcement was ready to move in, he was already on the run. His escape didn't last long though. On the 1st of October 2024, just 2 days after Abraham's body would be found, authorities tracked him to Dallas, Texas, nearly 500 miles away from the crime scene. Police moved in quickly, and Thomas was taken into custody without incident. At the time of his arrest, Thomas refused to explain what had happened that night. He didn't fight back, but he also didn't offer answers. What had led to such a brutal killing, and why had he tried so desperately to cover his tracks? Well, we might not ever find out. As of today, Mr. Prada has remained silent, and the authorities investigating the case have yet to reveal any information. Jin Kid's real name is Ali Nassar Abulaban, and he was known for his TikToks that you may have actually seen before, where he pretended to be an NPC from the game Skyrim.
You try mercenary work? Might suit you.
Through these TikToks, he gained around 945,000 followers before his account would be terminated. Outside of his skits, he was just a normal guy. At least that's what it seemed like. He was married to Anna Abulaban, and together they lived in San Diego, California. From the outside, they looked like a normal couple, as Anna would occasionally appear in some of his TikToks. But as much as he gained online, his personal life was spiraling. His mental state was becoming unstable, and his relationship with Anna was suffering because of it. In October of 2021, she told Ali it was over. She wanted a divorce. For Ali, that wasn't an option. Instead of accepting the breakup, he spiraled. He refused to believe it was real. He became obsessed with Anna's every move. He stalked her, tracked her, and listened in on her private conversations, as without her knowing, he installed a hidden tracking device on her iPad. Through it, he could hear everything she said, every conversation, every plan she made, and every person she talked to. It was all being monitored, and in Ali's mind, he was building a case against her, convincing himself that she was betraying him. As the days passed, his paranoia deepened, that he wasn't just her, he was furious. He felt abandoned, humiliated, and powerless. And that's when his obsession took its darkest turn. On October 21st, 2021, Ali was listening in on Anna once again. This time, what he heard shattered whatever was left of his sanity. Another man was with her in her apartment. In that moment, something inside Ali snapped. He muttered to himself, "I caught her. I finally caught her," several times. He wasn't thinking anymore. He was purely acting. Fueled by his rage and jealousy, he grabbed his gun and made a decision that would destroy everything. And then just hours later, tragedy struck. Ali stormed into the Spire San Diego luxury apartment, riding up the elevator to the 35th floor, where Anna lived. When he reached the door, he didn't hesitate. He forced his way inside. Inside the apartment, Anna was with 29-year-old Rayburn Barron. He wasn't a stranger. He was someone Anna had known for years. But in Ali's mind, he was the enemy, the man who had stolen his wife. Without words, Ali pulled out his gun and opened fire. The first shot hit Rayburn, ending his life instantly. Anna screamed, but there was nowhere she could run. In the next moment, Ali turned the gun on her and ended her life. It was over in mere seconds. He had taken the lives of the woman he once loved and the man he believed had taken her from him. Ali then got in his car and started driving. Then he made a phone call to his mother. In a matter-of-fact tone, he simply told her, By now, Anna's neighbors had already called 911, and it didn't take long for the police to piece together what had happened and put out an alert. Ali was on the move, and officers were closing in, though he wouldn't make it far. Not long after leaving the apartment, police caught up with him on Interstate 805. His car was pulled over, and officers surrounded him. He didn't fight, and he didn't try to escape. Ali was taken into custody without resistance, the gun still in his vehicle. By the time the news broke, the internet was in shock. The same man who had once made people laugh with his funny videos had now become the face of a brutal double murder. But the deepest impact was felt by the person who had no way of understanding what had happened. Ali and Anna's 5-year-old daughter. In an instant, her mother was gone. She would grow up not just without Anna, but with the horrifying reality that her father, the man who was supposed to love and protect her, was the one responsible for taking her away. There was no way to explain to a child why her world had been shattered. In the months that followed, Ali Abulaban sat in a courtroom, no longer an internet personality, but a man on trial for a double murder. He pleaded not guilty, insisting that he had acted in a moment of uncontrollable rage. But the evidence obviously told a very different story. In May of 2024, a jury found him guilty of both counts of first-degree murder. Then, in September of 2024, he was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Social media can turn everyday people into stars overnight. Jonte Collier and Eric Dodds were one such a couple. Their TikTok videos gained them over 800,000 followers, as many admired them not just for their personalities, but for the representation they brought to the LGBT community. Though the same people who built their brand on love were hiding something much darker, something that none of their followers saw coming. At first, the changes were subtle. Their uploads slowed down, and the usual light-hearted energy in their videos felt somewhat different. Some followers noticed, but most scrolled past without a second thought. Then, one day, their content would stop altogether. What happened? The answer isn't just surprising, it is deeply disturbing. On August 10th, 2022, Jonte was arrested in Georgia. At first, the details were scarce. News outlets reported that he'd been taken into custody, but for what? No one knew for sure yet. It didn't seem real. Fans obviously scrambled for answers, hoping it was some kind of mistake. Then just as people were starting to wrap their heads around Jonte's arrest, something even stranger started happening. Eric took to social media to defend Jonte. He was emotional, adamant that his partner was innocent.
No, he has not done anything to no one. Y'all know John will not harm a soul. He's the most free-spirited, caring person that I know.
To him, this was just a mistake, something that would soon be cleared up. He reassured their fans that Jonte would be home soon, but that never happened, because just days later, Eric was arrested too. The same man who had been pleading for Jonte's innocence was now in handcuffs himself. 2 arrests on the same case, same sudden disappearance from social media. On August 1st, 2022, in Rossville, Georgia, a man named Dakota Bradshaw had been shot inside his home. Witnesses reported seeing 2 vehicles speeding away from the scene, a red truck and a blue Dodge Challenger. Bradshaw was rushed to Arlington Hospital, but it was too late. He didn't survive. As police pieced together the evidence, their investigation led them to Jonte Collier and Eric Dodds. On August 8th of 2022, a murder warrant was issued for Jonte, and just 2 days later, he was arrested in Huntsville, Alabama. At that moment, many assumed the case was closed, but on August 15th, investigators took it a step further. A second murder warrant was issued, this time for Eric. The very next day, he would be arrested. Their fans were in complete shock. Over the next following months, more details would emerge. While authorities did not publicly disclose a specific motive, the prosecution had enough evidence to charge both men with felony murder. Even after the convictions, many questions remained unanswered. What exactly happened between Dakota Bradshaw and the 2 TikTokers before the shooting? And what was the motive? Authorities never publicly confirmed these details, leaving room for continued speculation. But one fact remained clear. Now, with both men sentenced to life in prison, their time in the spotlight had come to a permanent end. By May of 2023, after standing trial, both Collier and Dodds were found guilty of felony murder. They were both sentenced to life in prison. The TikTok couple, who had once been known for their playful videos and seemingly perfect relationship, would now spend the rest of their lives behind bars. We're now on level 5 of the iceberg. Louise Cam was a successful businesswoman living in Hertfordshire in England. At 71 years old, she had built a comfortable life managing rental properties, including a £1.3 million house in Barnet and a shop with 3 flats in Willesden. That's when she met Qusay Al-Jundi, a 25-year-old chef who worked in a restaurant in Willesden. He was charming, confident, and always had a way with words. He talked about his wealth, his powerful connections, and how he could make things happen. It wasn't before long he introduced Louise to a new business proposal, one that seemed too good to pass up. Qusay claimed to have a wealthy girlfriend named Anna, who was eager to invest in property. According to him, she was ready to buy both of Louise's properties for £4.6 million, offering a fast, off-the-books deal that would benefit everyone involved. Louise had been considering selling, and if Qusay was telling the truth, this would be an easy and profitable transaction. But she wasn't dealing with an ordinary buyer. Unbeknownst to her, Qusay was not the businessman he claimed to be. He had no money, no high-profile connections, and no intention of following through on the deal. Behind the scenes, something much darker was taking shape. To make his plan work, Qusay brought in Mohammed El Aboud, a 28-year-old delivery driver. As a man in a difficult financial situation, Mohammed was willing to do whatever it took to help his friend secure the deal. Together, they made sure everything was in its place. On July 26th, 2021, Louise was invited to Qusay's home in Barnet, where she expected to finalize the property transfer. She had no reason to suspect anything was wrong, though once she arrived, at some point during the visit, Mohammed launched a violent attack. He strangled Louise with a hairdryer cord in a cold-blooded act. With Louise dead, Qusay and Mohammed now had a major problem. The plan had always been to take her properties, but now they had a body to hide. Their solution was equally as disturbing. They stuffed Louise into a wheelie bin right there at the property. Instead of disposing of it immediately, they left her there hidden from view as they put the rest of their scheme into motion. Over the next 48 hours, Kasai attempted to fake Louise's presence. Using her phone, he sent text messages to her friends, family, and business contacts, pretending she was still alive. He told her sons that she had gone away with her friend and wouldn't be available for a while. But deception can only go so far. Louise's family and friends immediately grew suspicious. The messages just didn't sound like her, and the way they were written felt off. They were too vague and too unlike the direct and business-minded woman they knew. Meanwhile, Kasai and Muhammad weren't acting like men trying to cover up a crime. In fact, they were celebrating. Rather than lying low, Muhammad filmed himself dancing with his girlfriend in one of Louise's properties and posted the video to TikTok. He had literally just committed a murder and now he was smiling for the camera. In another clip, he shows off his brand new car, which of course also belonged to Louise. Muhammad was playing the role of a wealthy, carefree young man, pretending he had come into money through legitimate means. In reality, he was flaunting items he didn't have and living on borrowed time. Kasai, meanwhile, was busy trying to secure his prize. Earlier that month, he had convinced Louise to sign a lasting power of attorney document, which basically gives him control over her financial affairs. He also obtained signed property transfer forms, which would allow him to take ownership of her properties without paying a single penny. In Kasai's mind, everything was set, and with her now out the way as they planned, he wasted no time to sell her properties. He contacted an associate, claiming that Louise had already handed them over to him and began looking for buyers. He thought he had pulled off the perfect crime, but the cracks were already forming in his grand plan. Louise's family was asking too many questions. Her properties were also still legally tied to her name, and the videos that Muhammad was taking in her properties was about to bring everything crashing down. On July 28, 2021, 2 days after Louise was last seen, her family had reported her missing. The police immediately launched an investigation, retracing her last known movements. It didn't take long for them to zero in on the people she had last been in contact with, Muhammad and Kasai. When questioned by the authorities, Kasai tried to maintain his facade. He repeated the story he had been pushing through the text messages, that Louise had gone away on a trip and that he had nothing to do with her disappearance. But detectives simply weren't buying it. By this point, the reckless social media activity, particularly the TikTok videos, had raised suspicions. As the pressure mounted, the truth unraveled. Just days after her disappearance, police discovered Louise Cam's body. She was found stuffed inside that same wheelie bin, though she had been moved to Wood End Road in Harrow, where it was concealed under garden waste. Muhammad El Aboud and Kasai Al Jundi were arrested and charged with Louise's murder. In 2022, the pair were each sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 35 years. In the quiet suburbs of Las Vegas, 16-year-old Sierra Halseth and 18-year-old Aaron Guerrero thought they had found something special, something no one else could understand. They were young, in love, and inseparable. But their love had one major problem: Sierra's father, Daniel Halseth. Daniel didn't approve of Aaron in the slightest. He saw their relationship as reckless and dangerous. Maybe he thought Sierra was too young to be so deeply involved with someone older. Whatever his reasons, he made one thing very clear: Sierra was forbidden from seeing Aaron. For most teenagers, a breakup like this would be heartbreaking but temporary. Parents set rules, and kids eventually move on. But Sierra and Aaron weren't like most teenagers. Behind closed doors and over text messages, the two teens started discussing something unthinkable. What if Daniel wasn't around anymore? What if they didn't have to hide, lie, or sneak around? What if they could just make him disappear? It might have started like a fantasy, an angry thought said aloud, but as the days passed, the idea stopped sounding impossible. It started sounding like a real plan. And unlike the way most people fantasize about extreme ideas but never act on them, Sierra and Aaron took their dark thoughts one step further. They began researching. They talked about what they would need to do. The planning wasn't rushed, it was calculated. This wasn't a crime of passion, a sudden moment of anger turning deadly. This was something different, something colder. Their plan involved not just killing Daniel, but making sure no one would ever know they were responsible. They would cover their tracks, escape together, and start a new life far away. The details of the plan aren't all public, but what we do know is chilling. They discussed ways to get rid of evidence. They planned how they'd clean up afterwards, and most disturbingly, they talked about what life would be like once Daniel was out of the picture, as if his life was just a problem that needed to be solved. At this point, it was no longer just a theory or wild teenage idea. They had made up their minds, and all that was left was to put their plan into motion. On April 9th, 2021, that's exactly what they did. Daniel Holseth had no idea what was coming. He was at home, likely thinking about everyday concerns, work, bills, his daughter's future. But as he went about his evening, Sierra and Aaron were waiting for the right moment to strike. The attack was brutal. Daniel was ambushed with a knife by his own daughter and Aaron. Reports later revealed that he had suffered at least 70 different wounds. The two teens didn't just kill Daniel, they made sure there was no chance he could survive. The attack wasn't clean, quick, or quiet, but even after the murder, their plan wasn't over. They had another problem, the crime scene. Sierra and Aaron took their next step. They tried to set the house on fire to destroy any trace of what they had done. Flames began to spread throughout the house, but despite their efforts, the fire didn't do enough to cover up the crime. Security footage later captured the teens at a nearby store buying bleach, gloves, and other cleaning supplies, attempting to erase their involvement. But no amount of cleaning could undo what they had done. With Daniel's body lying in his burning home, Sierra and Aaron didn't panic. They didn't break down. Instead, they moved forward with their plan. They emptied Daniel's bank account, withdrawing thousands of dollars to fund their escape. Then they packed their bags and disappeared, thinking they had left no trace behind. But what you're probably wondering is what this has to do with TikTok. Well, what they did next was probably the most disturbing part of the entire case. Instead of laying low, staying quiet, or showing any sign of guilt, Sierra and Aaron did the unthinkable. They recorded a video. In the short TikTok, we see the two teenagers together, smiling and laughing.
Day 3 after murdering somebody.
Wow! Don't put that on camera.
It was worth it.
And no bleeding this time. We got through that.
The video became one of the many pieces of evidence in the case, as it was proof they didn't see what they had done as a mistake. They saw it as a shared experience, something that bonded them even further. Meanwhile, back in Las Vegas, authorities were quickly piecing things together. The fire hadn't completely destroyed the crime scene. It didn't take long for investigators to realize that Daniel Holseth's death wasn't an accident. With the evidence stacking up, police launched a manhunt for Sierra and Aaron. The two had taken off, traveling across states in an attempt to disappear, but their freedom wouldn't last long. Just 3 days later, on April 13th, 2021, the couple was found and arrested in Salt Lake City, Utah. In early 2023, both Sierra and Aaron took plea deals to avoid a trial. They pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and arson. By taking the deal, they avoided the possibility of a harsher sentence, but their punishment was still severe. On April 8th, 2023, Sierra was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison, and a month later, in March, Aaron received the same sentence, 20 years to life. Nicola Priest's TikTok account seemed like a window into the life of a loving young mother. She posted videos that painted a picture of happiness, dancing, smiling, and lip-syncing to popular songs. Her daughter, Kaylee Jade, often appeared in these videos, laughing and playing along, just like any other carefree toddler. But behind closed doors, the reality was much darker than anyone watching could have imagined. Social media is built on appearances. People purposely show the best parts of their lives. But those watching her TikTok videos didn't see what was happening behind the screen. They didn't hear the cries of a 3-year-old being mistreated. They didn't see the text messages she sent to her boyfriend, Callum Redfern, joking about punishing Kaylee Jade when she misbehaved. They didn't know that the same woman filming playful TikToks was also ignoring her daughter's pain. On the night of August 8th, 2020, the illusion of happiness Nicola Priest had crafted online shattered completely. Sometime between the evening and early hours of the next morning, something horrific happened inside her apartment in Solihull, England. Her 3-year-old daughter, Kaylee Jade, suffered fatal injuries. Injuries so severe that experts later compared them to those of a child in a high-speed car crash. At 11:17 a.m. the next day, Nicola dialed 999. Her voice was panicked, and she told the operator that her daughter wasn't breathing. Paramedics arrived at the flat within minutes, but it was already too late. Kaylee Jade's body was lifeless, showing clear signs of a brutal brutal attack. It was clear that Nicola had been physical with her. Despite the extreme circumstances, Nicola and her boyfriend Callum acted as though they had no idea what had happened. They told paramedics that Kaylee Jade had simply fallen asleep and never woken up, but doctors who examined her body obviously knew the truth. As investigators combed through the scene, disturbing details began to emerge. Neighbors reported hearing loud noises and thuds coming from the apartment the night before. Some even recalled hearing Kaylee Jade crying. Then, the autopsy confirmed what detectives feared. Kaylee Jade had died from blunt force trauma. She had been subjected to ongoing abuse, with previous injuries showing she had suffered long before that fatal night. And as police continued their investigation, they found more damning evidence. Messages between Nicola and Callum laughing about punishing the toddler when she didn't behave. Nicola had presented herself as the devoted mother on TikTok, but in reality, she had failed Kaylee Jade in almost every way possible. The little girl who once appeared in her videos was now gone, and the truth about what happened inside that apartment was finally beginning to unravel. Nicola and Callum both sat in court, accused of causing or allowing the death of a child. From the start, it was clear that neither of them wanted to take responsibility. Instead, they turned on each other. Nicola claimed that Callum had been the one to inflict from Callum even suggested that they should, quote, boot Kaylee Jade when she misbehaved. The prosecution argued that these messages showed a pattern of mistreatment and a complete lack of care for the child's well-being. As the trial progressed, the jury saw the stark difference between the image Nicola Priest had created online and the reality of her behavior as a mother. Clips from her TikTok were played in court, showing her smiling and singing just weeks before her daughter's death. But those videos meant nothing when compared to the brutal evidence of what had really happened. In August 2021, the verdict was finally delivered. Nicola Priest was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Callum Redfern was also convicted of manslaughter and sentenced to 14 years. But what makes this case even worse is what Nicola did after her daughter had already died. In the days following Kaylee Jade's death, but before her arrest, Nicola continued posting TikTok videos as if nothing had happened. Instead of mourning, she kept uploading videos of herself dancing to songs and posing for the camera. In one video, she performed a dance routine to the song I Wanna Be Your Lady, with no sign of sadness or remorse. These videos became a key piece of outrage when the case went to trial. Many people couldn't comprehend how a mother who had just lost her child in such a violent way could carry on as if nothing had happened at all. And that concludes today's video. If you want something else to watch or listen to, here's a video of mine that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Thanks for watching.
Oh, yeah, everybody.
Plus size typecast.
People, get the fuck out of here. You're weird. You're weird. You're weird. Cartel TikTok.
To be fair, that dude probably wouldn't have recovered. I think you're probably right. The people that are fine and uncancelable on TikTok are like the dudes that are decent looking. This guy stood no chance. Oh, I actually remember this story. I haven't seen his video on it, but I remember this was on Reddit. There was a random TikTok that was taken, well, at least this story, I guess the whole thing might not be connected. A random TikTok taken of a girl with like a black eye and shit, and then Redditors actually were the ones that maybe potentially connected her to a missing persons case. I don't remember the result. I don't know if it actually turned out to be true or not, but yeah, I guess we'll check it out, sure. Exit Tier 1 Sam, Tier 1 Pringles, and the resub Brian, and the Prime Brad, Airman, and WQ, and Tier 1 Iron Man. Yeah, someone mentioned the Andrew files earlier.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the darkest TikTok iceberg. Now this is a sequel to my darkest YouTube iceberg, but this video is a lot more gruesome. Reason being, because in the YouTube iceberg, we talked about just creepy videos on the website. Now for this TikTok iceberg, we're going to talk about real world events. In case you guys don't know how an iceberg works, which you should by now, honestly, it's a list that starts at the tip and ends up going all the way down to the dark abyss. As we go down, we begin covering topics that not the general audience knows about, but we're actually switching it up for this video. We're not doing it from most known to least known. We're doing it from most tame to most gruesome. This video gets really dark, and it sounds so ironic because it's TikTok, but you guys would—
No, TikTok's a fucked platform.
Also, I made this list. Here is the list. If anyone else wants to make a video on it, just make sure to credit me, and you can add on, remove, I don't care, but I made this list because this didn't really exist before. I hope you guys watched the whole thing. By the way, make sure to follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the channel if you are not already. Actually, don't subscribe yet. I'll earn your subscription by the end of this video.
Hey.
Without further ado, let's head on to the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg. Botting accounts. Like most social media, TikTok has
underwhelming.
Users that want followers can easily look
Everyone
up
knows
how to buy
TikTok's botted
followers
the fuck.
on Google and be met instantly with millions of results. Most being shady websites.
I saw some wild stories on that iceberg though.
Not only can you buy followers, but you can buy views, likes, and even comments. I don't know how lame you have to be to do that stuff.
Hey, fun fact. That's how Travis Scott started. Travis Scott bought all of his followers on SoundCloud when he started. His manager came out and said that Travis Scott, paid him to set up a bot farm for his SoundCloud engagements, and then he was able to pitch that manufactured success to a record label. So yeah, that shit really works.
Jail talk is a term used for inmates which have their cellular devices with them and make TikToks. These videos are for the most part innocent and wholesome, with the comment section usually joking about how they can escape. They're not hurting anybody, but there is a reason why they are in jail in the first place, which is why they are on this list at the tip of the iceberg. Fetishization of murderers. TikTok is a place for anyone with any interest.
That was big on Tumblr.
Some people are interested in murderers. I mean, my whole channel is dedicated to morbid topics. But some people, mainly young teens, push the boundary a little when they begin romanticizing these murderers. Take Cameron Herron, for example. In April of this year, this 21-year-old man was sentenced to a total of 24 years in prison for killing a 24-year-old mom and her baby during an illegal street race. Yet people on TikTok were begging for his freedom because he is quote-unquote cute. With dedicated fan edits, comments like, chances should be given and he deserves it, and he is innocent, please let him go, or justice for him.
They still exist. I see them on Twitter all the time.
These comments have no real sense of murder and have no idea how this affects the family. Hey Emily, just because you sat through the entirety of true crime on Netflix doesn't mean you have a special connection with murderers. It's not only male murderers that are sinful, there's also the case of Isabella Guzman, who in 2013 was the age 18 and stabbed her mother 151 times, killing her. TikTok teens began requesting for her freedom because 1, they just thought she was cool, and 2, people said that the only reason she killed her mom was due to being abused, though that was never proven, so people were just going off word of mouth. Fetishization of school shooters. Just like young teens simp for murderers, they also simp for school shooters. Most notably, Devin Erickson, which we actually talked about on this channel back in March.
Who the fuck is that?
That's exactly what you'd expect. Fan edits, comments saying he's hot, and I wouldn't doubt some asking for his freedom. Speaking of romanticizing school shooters, I remember FTP made a couple of shirts referencing
who the fuck was that? I've never heard of that guy. He was a school shooter? Dude straight up had like cotton candy hair. I guess it's good that I have no idea that dude's name. But yeah, no, I had no clue. I've never seen that guy before in my fucking life.
Columbine school shooters, Eric and Dylan. And in one shirt, there's a print of both of them after they committed. I don't know who started this trend of thinking school shooters are people you should idolize, because they're not. They're shit humans that took away lives of innocent people.
Yep.
Hey guys, I just want to take a few moments out of this video to talk about today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. They actually sponsored the last iceberg video.
Nice.
Buying rare usernames. Rare usernames are exactly that. Usernames that are 3 to 4 letters each, or usernames that are a single word or name. Twitter and Instagram also have these communities which sell and buy rare usernames. These purchases take place outside of the app on forums and sell for upwards of $4,500. Usually these purchases are made using cryptocurrency, but at the end of the day, it is up to the people within the deal to decide. Fake TikTok
No,
login
I haven't heard of
sites.
that
This
one,
is a
grown-ass.
scam that aims to steal your account by
Sounds
collecting
goofy.
your username and password. Scammers do this by sending you a fake login site that looks just like the real TikTok website, except the only difference is the URL. The URL should be tiktok.com, but instead is something like tiktoklogin.site. Once putting your information in, you'll be met with a fake 404 error screen. The surface. Faking disabilities. There was an instance
Ooh, this
last
was
week
big.
when this girl
Still
on TikTok
big.
did some detective work and found out that the account at Adopted and Disabled Child was actually a guy pretending to be disabled. For what? I'm assuming for clout and then collecting donations afterwards. All credit to her because she actually found out that the quote-unquote disabled man in the video is a soccer player for a Norwegian football team.
What?
It goes on through your head to say, you know what? I should fake a disability
Holy
today
shit.
and post it on TikTok. Eventually, your friends and family will find out, and if not, then a random girl on TikTok will. Lopez brothers. Okay, I honestly don't want to waste my breath on these fucking idiots, so I'm gonna
I
make
don't
this
know
one
them.
really quick. Yes, they are both guilty of soliciting minors. Yes, there is proof.
She's 14. And you are how old?
Who the fuck are they? I've never heard of them.
23.
Yeah. You know what can happen to you?
I do.
You can end up in jail.
I do realize that.
And
Man, that video didn't really pop off. Let me take a peek. I bet they're doing just fine on TikTok. Honestly, it might even be good marketing on TikTok, so that way the little girls think they have a chance with them, I guess. Which they very well might. Tony Lopez. That's not Tony Lopez, that's an old man. Tony Lopez has 23 million followers, and he's doing real well. Posted a day ago. Let's go! He rated his attractiveness. Look at this. Nice. Yeah, no, that really, man, him being outed as a pedophile apparently really, fuck, it really ruined him. Who was the other one? Andre Lopez? He probably took the brunt of it. 21 million followers. He's doing even better than his brother. Hey, look, he's doing a dance. Nice. See, that's the beauty of TikTok. No matter what you do, you can't be canceled on there. And you know why? Because kids don't care. Kids do not give a shit. These two could have literally executed a child on TikTok livestream, put a gun to his head, blew their fucking brains out, and then did a dance on their corpse. Kids would have forgiven them. Literal next day.
You can end up in jail.
I do realize that.
And yes, for some reason, little girls still love them.
Oh, he even mentions it, yeah.
Jarob. Jarob was a TikToker with 4 million followers. His
His
content
recent
consisted of
Plasma
being
and
politically
Chelsea.
correct and yeah, that was it. His TikToks would get millions of views, and I'm sure you've seen them on your For You page at some point. Well, last month, multiple minors came out explaining that Jarob had groomed.
I guess Tori.
One of them, the one that got the most views, was a boy by the name of DYLG16. This person goes on to explain that Jarob is a disgusting hypocrite and abuses his clout to groom and prey upon underage boys. He goes on to say that Joe asked for his Snapchat during a live stream, and that led to Joe being invited to Zoom calls with his friends. Joe would send him and his minor friends online BDSM tests and would ask to see their scores so
Jesus
he could see what
Christ.
their kinks were. He then personally invited the 16-year-old minor to stay with him at a one-bedroom Airbnb. He even offered to buy him alcohol. And if that wasn't damning enough, Jarob ended up deleting his account shortly after these allegations came out. Bro, if there's one thing I don't like, it's fucking groomers, bro. Get the fuck out of here. You're weird. You're weird. You're weird. Cartel TikTok.
To be
Cartel-
fair, that dude probably wouldn't have recovered. I think you're probably right. The people that are fine and uncancelable on TikTok are like the dudes that are decent looking. This guy stood no chance. This guy was fucked the second he got outed as a child groomer. But yeah, the other ones are doing just fine for literally being outed by multiple people for preying on minors.
Weird. Cartel TikTok. Cartel TikTok is a series of TikToks that display the lavish lifestyle of the cartel, or, well, the bright side of it, if that's what you want to call it. All of the
He's a prime
expensive
Chris in the
cars,
resub
houses,
blade.
jewelry, and money. There have also been some more violent ones of members shooting at rival gangs and the police. Apparently, I'm saying apparently because this is word of mouth, teenagers from the US were really intrigued by the lifestyle and asked if they could join the cartel. Some cartel members would respond and say yeah, and they would force these teenagers to smuggle drugs for them, I'm assuming into Mexico. As of now, TikTok has taken down any hashtags related to the cartel.
Damn. What a good way of
Zombie
recruiting.
Woman. Zombie Woman is the nickname given to a woman in distress recorded from a neighbor earlier this year in May in Seattle, Washington. Now, I've tried researching what actually is the story behind this video, but there isn't really a solid story. So, I'm just going to read you guys some popular theories. The first theory is that this woman is a victim of domestic abuse due to dyeing her hair pink and her boyfriend not liking it. Also forgot to mention that in that same theory, the boyfriend allegedly ripped her hair out due to not liking the pink. That's the most I could find for that one. The second theory
That's
is that
probably
this
not
woman
it.
is just on some type of heavy drug like bath salts. The third theory
That's
is that
more
this woman
likely.
is a victim of human trafficking and she had escaped her abuse.
That is possible.
Someone said that she was holding a pseudo baby to cope with her real baby being killed. Again, these are just theories.
Man, that actually does look like a fucking scene from Martyrs, if any of you guys are unfortunate enough to have watched that movie. That movie's disturbing. This actually does look like a scene from that. So this was real? This wasn't like some theater promotion thing or something? Like some kids doing high school theater? Because the cops are actually here, so I'm guessing this was a real person. Damn, that is fucking sad. Martyrs isn't that bad? Bro, that movie hits hard. That movie, not just the gore shit they show, that movie, even its message is disturbing. The whole movie is about torturing women so they can get as close to death as possible, so hopefully they'd have an out-of-body experience and see what's on the other side. And to accomplish that, they torture the women, by literally, peeling all of their skin off, degloving their whole body. That movie's nutty. That movie is, really nutty.
Someone said that she was holding a pseudo baby to cope with her real baby being killed. Again, these are just theories. The body. Indian trend. Yes, you heard that right. I know I'm gonna censor a lot of this video. Hope you guys still
It's
watch.
patriotic.
Before TikTok was banned in India, in the summer of 2020, a popular Indian user by the name of Muhibur Rahman and his friend filmed and uploaded a disturbing video where they duetted a woman's video. I'm assuming the woman's video was made to raise awareness of sexual abuse, but these two men used that as an opportunity to make it seem like they just got done using her. Another popular Indian influencer uploaded a similar video, but instead lip-synced to a song with the lyrics, "Only I have a right over your body." Eventually, women
Jesus
of India took
Christ.
to report this new trend,
What
and
the
the chairperson of the National Commission for Women in India took note of this and managed to get TikTok to ban the trend. Holocaust challenge. Yo, I can't
Oh, I
believe
remember
some
this
of the
one.
stuff I'm saying right
I remember
now.
that one.
This is real stuff that happened on TikTok. In August of 2020, a new trend began emerging in US TikTok. In this trend, teenagers would pretend to be Jews that had died during the Holocaust.
Yeah, that one was pretty fucking crazy.
Diane Saltzman, the director.
One thing I always found pretty interesting about this is what is the thought process here? So they died at Auschwitz and they went to heaven, and yet they're still covered in dirt and hurt and stuff even while in heaven. That's gotta suck. You go to heaven in the same state you left the world. If you get hit by a fucking train or something, you just go to heaven in pieces. That'd be terrible. What a horrible entrance.
Diane Saltzman, the director of Survivor Affairs at the U.S. Holocaust Museum, told Insider, imitating Holocaust experiences dishonors the memory of victims, is offensive to survivors,
Thank
and
you, Tier 1
trivializes
macaroni
the
and
history.
cheese.
I don't know how fucking stupid you have to be to do this shit, bro. That's just weird and disrespectful. Fucking weirdo. I like that I could shit on these people and there's no backlash because they all do stupid shit. Give me more ideas for Iceberg Part 2 for TikTok so I can shit on more people. Ronnie McNutt video. In
This one,
2020,
I remember this one
TikToks
too.
would be posted onto the app.
Fuck,
Oh,
this
that's
one was
what we
heavy.
thought. Until the TikTok would then cut to a clip of a man shooting himself in the head with a rifle. Well, he actually shoots himself in the face, not right here. I'm sure you guys have probably seen the video. These TikToks were disguised as your
Yeah, that
average
one was
dancing
wild.
videos,
That was a
memes,
fucked up
K-pop
trend.
fan cams, and everything else, but were meant to traumatize kids on the app. In case you're wondering exactly who started making these videos, there is no lead, but I'm sure we can all assume it was some edgy teen who
Thank you,
just wanted to
Resub Z.
make some kids' days that much worse. The man in the video is Ronnie McNutt, age 33. A friend of his named John Steen, who was a live viewer of the stream, confirmed that the rumor of Ronnie doing this, quote, because his girlfriend broke up with him, is entirely false. He explains that Ronnie did this due to suffering from PTSD and depression.
Oh. Yeah, that one was super
TikTok
sad.
beheading video. In the summer of
That
this
one was
year,
really fucking
a video
sad.
began
Thanks, Risa
circulating
Pablo.
on TikTok that showed a little girl dancing and then cut to a video of someone getting beheaded. We're assuming it's the Mexican cartel because they are speaking Spanish in the video. Everyone assumed this person in the video to be her. Well, spoiler alert, it's not. They're two different people. It's just a random girl and it cuts to a Mexican cartel video. Like the Ronnie McNutt video, this spread like wildfire. I'm sure people would just post the video itself or like cut their
Thanks,
clip
Risa.
into a normal
Cat.
TikTok and trick people into thinking they're watching a normal TikTok, and then it cuts to that clip. Anyway, like I was saying, the girl dancing and the person in the other video
He's
are
in tier
not
one,
the same person.
big
That
forehead.
person is a man by the name of Rodolfo Bellucci, which coincidentally has the same body type as the girl. If you're wondering how a tween girl and a grown man were mistaken to be the same person, well, almost all gore videos seem like they're filmed on a fucking Chromebook, so the best you'll get is 360p. Of
True.
this, Cassie Compton. In January of 2021,
This one I remember
a
from
video
Reddit.
posted on TikTok went viral due to showing a woman sitting in the backseat of a car with a black man sitting next to her. She had two black eyes and was slumped over staring at the camera, almost silently pleading for help. People compared this woman to Cassie Compton, a 15-year-old who disappeared from her home in Stuttgart, Arkansas on September 14th of 2014. Though, these were later found out to be two completely different people.
Oh, was it
the
right?
video was confirmed by family to be Haley Grace Phillips. She had been reported missing by a family member
Oh,
who saw the
well,
video.
it was
but
right, though.
on her own account, had just left home due to a falling out with her father. So,
Oh.
you know, she didn't think she was missing. She just, like, left home. She went on to host a few Instagram live streams where in the first one she says, "I don't know who this Cassie bitch is," which already gave her a negative look. And when asked about the black eyes, she explains that she had been jumped and robbed by two women when leaving the store. And the men in the car were friends of hers helping her track down the attackers. Many were still skeptical to if she was telling the truth or if her abusers were telling her.
So Reddit was almost right,
So we
kind
have no
of.
idea what the actual truth is because she disabled her account and never gave the public any more details. Austin 13. Austin Morosky was a TikToker with many followers who was accused of raping his 5-year-old sister. Yup. You heard that right.
Jesus
So basically,
Christ.
there is no hard evidence that I could find to this case. It's all just word of mouth from people that went to high school with him. So the story goes that he allegedly raped his little sister of 5 years old when he was 9, and then was sent off to a juvenile detention center during high school. Yes, during high school, which is already weird as part of the story because to enter juvie, there's not like an age limit. You could be 6 and be in juvie, so theoretically, he should have gone to juvie right when he did it, not during high school. Or maybe the story is that
Thanks, Arisa
the
Venom.
information got leaked while he was in high school. But again, this is all word of mouth. Anyway, people on TikTok started rushing to spread awareness about this guy. He eventually ended up releasing an apology.
Hey everybody, my name's Austin Morosky, and the reason I'm making this TikTok is to educate my followers, friends, and family. Regardless of the lack of knowledge, this
He's reading like a
concerning my
report.
life and my
Book report.
family. I, as a TikToker and a man, will continue to make my fans happy and entertained. I just want my true supporters to know that if you happen to get in the same scenario like myself, don't beat yourself up. Let this be a lesson to my followers and whoever's watching, that words will and can affect someone's life along with the cyberbullying.
Which, by the way, is one of the worst apology videos I've seen.
What?
It's right up there with James Charles and David Dobrik. You'd expect them to be like, "No, I did not rape my sister," or "Yes, guys, I did."
Holy
but
shit.
He just dodges the question. He acknowledges nothing. He tells his supporters that words can affect you and to keep your head up during hard times. He victimizes himself. I'm assuming this is why people think he's 100% guilty. Though we'll never really know because those juvenile records aren't available to the public since they're minors.
What
Lady
the fuck?
Cat Killer.
Wait, what the fuck? That was actually like his response? I imagine he's doing just fine on TikTok. He probably didn't even need to do that for his TikTok followers. They don't give a fuck. What was his name? Austin 13. He does not have a TikTok anymore. That's a first. Unless he changed his handle. Thanks to Prime Frog and the resub Oscar. Yeah, I typed it in right. The AWS. Yeah, I typed it in right. Oh, 316. Oh. Okay, hold on. Let me double check. No, still not. And it was Austin 13. Man, fuck you guys making me think I was wrong. Thanks a resub, AV. Yeah, looks like he got banned.
In 2020, there was a person that would go on Omegle with the tag furry, from
Stone Cold
to
oh, you
and
son
would
of
show
a
off
bitch.
skinned and burned cats,
I
cat
see.
schools, and other things of that nature. Even though this happened on Omegle, the quote-unquote lady would post on TikTok, which is why it's on this iceberg. If you were on TikTok
I
at the
see.
time, you might remember the amount of people that were talking about this. Shout out to the Netflix documentary, Don't Fuck With Cats. I love that. I love that film. That was cool. It was never proven or not as to if she was the person on TikTok, considering many accounts were made due to getting banned. But whoever was on the account seemed to be trying to pull off the "you'll never catch me" scheme, which no, it was 2020, your ass is gonna get caught. And actually, law enforcement did get involved, and it is most likely that this person was tracked down and charged, though we'll never have any confirmation because we don't know the cat killer's name, which means we can't look it up on public records.
I vaguely remember that. I didn't see the
One
documentary
of the
though.
most recent situations from this entire iceberg is the case of Bethany Martin and her minor friend. On July 28th in San Antonio, Texas, this girl and her friend saw someone hanging from the railing of a drainage ditch. The 25-year-old man had just committed suicide, and instead of calling the police, well, one of the teens filmed the other one stealing his necklace. Yes, removing it from his lifeless body. To make matters even worse, they filmed it and posted it on
Full-blown
Snapchat.
Logan
I have no
Paul.
idea how stupid you have to be to film yourself committing a crime. I mean, because if you think about it, they could have gotten away with it, and I'm not condoning them getting away with it. But seriously, how stupid, like, just don't film
Holy
it. Again,
shit.
I'm not condoning what they did. Good that they got caught. I'm glad they were idiots and filmed it. But like, bro, y'all are stupid. When asked by the police why she stole the necklace, she says that it matched her fashion style. Honestly, I didn't expect any better.
That's a
reasoning
good
from this
point,
girl.
actually.
The police returned the jewelry to the family. Bethany was arrested and charged with theft of a corpse. Her bond was set to $2,000, and she has since been released from jail. The minor was also charged with the same thing.
Thanks a Prime, Reginald.
The
How are they doing on TikTok? What was her name? What was it? Bethany what? Yeah, I'm sure if I type in how many people are actually fucking named Bethany in 2022, I'm sure it'll come up. Let's see. Is it Bethany Martin? Bethany what? Bethany 3160. I'm not falling for it twice. Okay, I guess it's this one then. No, it looks like she has also been banned. Man, maybe TikTok actually does sometimes take action. Then why not for the other, like, predators? Yeah, it looks like she is also off. Her name was Bethany Martin. Unless she's just not popping up when I search her. No, she's also gone. Thanks for the 5 gift subs, Jicho. Thank you for that, man. Thanks for the Prime Inzo and the gift sub Sakurai.
Abyss. Zachary Lathan.
Her account still exists,
often
it's at
dubbed
50K.
The TikToker who killed his neighbor for clout.
Thanks for some
Zachary
Dal
Lathan
stars.
did just that, though whether he did it for clout or not is unknown. Here's a rundown of the story. Zachary had been having problems with his neighbors due to driving recklessly in the neighborhood. At one point, he films a woman that's part of the family and calls her a Karen repeatedly. He then allegedly swerved his car into their son's bike while he's biking. Eventually, the family's son and father confront Zach by going to his house, and meanwhile, Zach's wife is recording everything. Yeah, the dude had a wife at the age of 18. What the Anyway, Zach ends up going ape mode and stabs William in the armpit, puncturing his lung, killing him. People say this was an attempt to gain TikTok clout since the wife was recording, but I personally think it's just a man with mental and anger issues, not knowing limits. Also,
Jesus.
the argument that he did it for clout is odd considering the dude he killed came up on his property first. You would think that he would go to the neighbor's house, kill him over there. But no, the people came up to his side, and I'm not defending it again, that kid's a fucking idiot. But yeah, rest in peace to that man. Rest in peace. Joseph Jimenez.
I'm assuming that
Recent
TikTok
event
guy's
on
in
this
jail
list is
now.
this Joseph Jimenez movie theater shooting. This happened last month in California. Anthony Barajas, a 19-year-old TikToker with about 1 million followers, and his friend Riley Goodrich went out to watch The Forever Purge, where they were shot and killed by a 20-year-old man by the name of Joseph Dumbass Jimenez. A reporter actually conducted an interview with this person, so I'll give you guys some takeaways from that. The movie theater was mostly empty. There were only a total of 6 people, 3 of those being Riley, Jimenez, and Anthony. The other 3 were Jimenez's friends. Halfway during the movie, Jimenez went to go get something from his car, and he told his friends that he came back with a gun. In the article, it says that his friends left to the parking lot. I guess they were just like weird. They were just fucking scared. They went to the parking lot. Then they see Jimenez running to his car, getting in, and speeding off. The bodies of the 2 teens weren't found up until the cleaning crew came up, which is odd. Like, no one heard a gunshot, like 2 gunshots in the movie theater. Anyway,
I mean, it could have just sounded like the movie.
Execution style. So Jimenez went behind their seats, aimed his gun at the back of Anthony's head, and shot and killed him. When he killed Anthony, Riley reacted horrified, and then he shot her in the head as well. Riley died at the scene, and Anthony was on life support for a couple of days until eventually dying. When explaining why he did it, he says that voices were telling him that by killing both of those 2 teenagers, he would be saving the world.
Fuck, maybe, Jesus Christ, maybe that Reddit commenter really was real then. Fuck me, oh my god. What? Jesus Christ. Yeah, going out in public's scary, man. What's the name of that old song from Under Oath? It's dangerous business going out of your front door or something? This shit is super true. And it really feels like more and more people are becoming unhinged. I don't know what it is, but it just really feels like more often now than when I was growing up, people are becoming significantly more on edge and dangerous. Exit tier 1, dat boy, and the resub up down. It might just be like more access to information, but goddamn, this fucking scary.
Claire Miller is a 14-year-old girl that murdered her disabled sister, Helen, that had cerebral palsy, a disorder that affects a person's posture, muscles, and balance. We actually covered this topic on the channel when it happened back in February, and I also remember that this was an interesting case because there wasn't really like a reason. You know, there wasn't really a reason, so I'm gonna let my past self explain to you guys that. At 1 in the morning, the police got a phone call from Claire herself saying that she had just murdered her older sister. Her older sister, it was 19 years old and she was wheelchair bound, so she had a disability, but it doesn't really say what disability she had. So it says here that Claire hysterically called 911 and just admitted to murdering her sister, and when the police arrived, they noticed that she had tried washing the blood that was on her hands in the snow on the ground. So I guess there was just bloody snow everywhere. And they had found a knife inside of the older sister's neck. The name of the older sister was Helen Miller. I don't want to just like not mention her name. And since this happened in 1 in the morning, it says here that the parents were asleep. I don't know how you could sleep through a murder. You know, we don't know that many details, and I honestly don't really want to cover an update. They are charging her for murder as an adult. She's not being charged as a minor. She's being charged as a full adult. So
that's good news.
Consequences, bro. She's probably gonna get like life in prison or 100+ years type stuff. It's obviously that this Claire girl has a mental disability. Like, no one just murders out of nowhere. Even in her mugshot, like, she looks like she's not fully there. Okay, cool. Let's head on to the next topic.
God damn.
Nicola Priest. This is by
I think as TikTok continues to grow, pretty much every criminal ever is going to be able to be traced back to a TikTok account. So literally every criminal from this point forward, I imagine, will be able to watch TikTok videos of them doing the Doja Cat dance or some shit at some point. Because it's just everyone has one now. So literally every single murderer is also going to be a TikToker by extension. That's a pretty wild future.
One of the worst things I'm gonna talk about on the channel. So this woman from the UK named Nicola Priest would post TikToks mourning her dead daughter. Her daughter seemed to be like about 2, and I'm sure when people saw this on their For You page, they would, you know, leave loving comments like, "Oh no, you're strong, you're gonna be strong." Come to find out, this woman actually murdered her own kid and then went on TikTok post mourning her own daughter. People found this out because you can actually search her up on public records, and it says there that she murdered her kid. She only got 15 years in prison, which is so fucking weird. Why? So yeah, when that information came out, it flipped the story on its head. Now people see this woman as a demon because that's what she is. And if you go back and watch some of the videos, her account is still up, by the way. If you go back and watch some of the videos, it's so fucking creepy seeing Like, just no.
Why? Why is her account still up?
Acting like she didn't fucking kill her own daughter.
What? What was her name? Nicola Priest. Let's see. How is she doing? No, it's down now. Okay, so it must have been up in August. It is down now. That's good news. So far, almost all of them have been. I'm very surprised. Usually they're not. Why just 15 years? I have no fucking clue. I have no idea. I imagine, if I had to take a guess, I would say it's probably the UK. Let's see, in fact. Mom who killed 3-year-old for interrupting her having sex posts what? Posts apology to her parents. And yes, she was from Solihull, England. She made a fucking YouTube apology video for killing her 3-year-old daughter. She was having sex with her boyfriend and got interrupted. And so she killed her daughter. What was the thought process? It's not like she was going to go back to getting laid after committing a murder in front of the boyfriend. Oh shit, the boyfriend is also crying, asking to be let out. They interrupted the two of you when you wanted to have sex. You lost your temper and you were joint participants in the assault. Holy shit. And they got 15 years. It's a fucking joke, man. That's a fucking joke. Thanks for resub, Justinian. Yeah, so they beat the kid to death. Yep, that should be life for both of them, I would say. And what's even wilder, she used it for clout on TikTok.
On TikTok, whether it be creeps paying little girls to message them, or little girls going out of their way to show off their queefing skills. I'm not lying. Can't fucking believe I'm serious. There are so many grown, disgusting ass.
There's a queef trend on TikTok?
TikTok, just looking for children. So the most I could say for this is just protect your children. All right, yeah, that was the iceberg.
That was a lot of shit.
Let me know if you guys want a part 2. If you guys want a part 2, you guys are gonna have to let me know a lot more information. Let me know what I missed. Maybe there's some crazy topics that I missed, but let me know what you guys want to see.
There's a shark trend as well. Now that just sounds like good fun. No one's... Damn. Yeah, that was a lot of shit I'd never even heard of. Thanks to the Prime Chicken Lay. Watch part 2. Maybe a different day. Let's save it. And there's a part 3. Jesus Christ. We'll save them.
Wanted to leave if they did get, a search warrant for your phone.
Domestic violence and affirm that this information is correct.
Welcome, internet detectives, to a story so twisted, so unhinged, it could only be born in the lawless wilds of TikTok. This is the tale of Callie the Flower Girl, Lily to her legion of followers, a name that's become synonymous with chaos, deception, and a level of online infamy that's earned her a permanent spot in the TikTok Hall of Fame. Over the past 8 months, she's gone from a quirky cleaning video creator to a digital pariah, accused of swindling tens of thousands of dollars from her trusting fans, all while entangled in a relationship so toxic it's practically a psychological thriller. And trust me, you're not ready for what's coming. A girl with 500,000 followers, a messy apartment, and a knack for oversharing that'd make grandma blush. On the surface, Lily's TikTok is all chaotic charm. Grocery hauls, gum wrappers scattered with confetti, a life that screams relatable train wreck. But or so the internet believes. This isn't just a story about a TikTok star gone rogue, it's a descent into a digital rabbit hole where nothing is as it seems, and everyone's got an opinion louder than the last. It all started innocently enough. About a year ago, Lily was just another face in the algorithm, charming her way to viral fame with videos of her trashing her place and cleaning it up again. But then the cracks appeared. Whispers of GoFundMe's gone wrong started swirling. Thousands of dollars raised for cars, homes, even a dying dog, only for the money to vanish into thin air, leaving donors furious and the internet buzzing. Was it all a masterminded grift? Or was she a pawn in someone else's game? Then comes Preston, her boyfriend, her so-called social media manager, and the man who's got the internet clutching pitchforks. He's older. He's got a past that'd make your skin crawl, and he's allegedly the architect of this whole circus. Together, they've turned Lily's TikTok into a battleground of sympathy and skepticism, a saga for the ages.
Other people have come out and claimed nothing. Other people have come out and said that they are victims of...
But it gets darker. After the house fire that left her family homeless, their real tears, real tragedy was followed by yet another fundraiser that spiraled into accusations of theft so bold, even her own parents turned against her. Then a dog, a poor pup with an upset stomach, whose death became a cash grab. And then there's the domestic drama, hotel lobbies, police calls, a hospital live stream claiming assault, only for it all to unravel as a potential lie. Was it abuse? Was it staged? The internet split down the middle. Lily's not just a scammer, though, or so her defenders cry. She's a victim, they say, groomed and manipulated by a predator who's been at this game for longer than she has. Preston's shadow looms large, whispering in live streams, controlling her moves, allegedly pocketing cash while she takes the fall. But Lily's no saint either. She's lied, she's begged, she's played this sympathy card so hard it's worn thin. Fake pregnancy tests, cryptic apologies, a life that flips between tragic and trollish. She's a walking paradox, and the internet can't look away. This isn't your typical influencer expose. This is an odyssey of raw, unfiltered madness, pieced together from TikTok clips, Reddit threads, and a collective outrage of a betrayed audience. As of March 2025, Lily's still out there, still posting, still stirring the pot, and we're diving head first to figure out what the hell's going on. Is she a mastermind? A puppet? A mentally ill kid caught in a nightmare? We've got the receipts, screenshots, videos, first-hand accounts, and we're laying it all bare. Get ready to be shocked as we delve into the unbelievable story of Callie the Flower Girl, the TikTok star who rose to fame through scams and deception. Starting from the very beginning, we'll explore how a 16-year-old girl's encounter with a 21-year-old on Snapchat transformed into a multi-million view empire and ultimately led to its downfall amidst a storm of controversy. This is a tale of manipulation, deceit, and the dark side of social media. Before the scams, before the screams, before the internet turned her into a punching bag and a puzzle, Callie the Flower Girl, Lily, was just another TikTok hopeful, a teenage girl with a messy apartment and a dream. 8 months ago, she was nobody special, just a chaotic speck in the algorithm's infinite scroll. But something about her clicked. Maybe it was the rawness, the unpolished edge of her videos, or maybe it was the train wreck appeal that kept eyes glued to their screens. Whatever it was, Lily's rise was fast, feral, and looking back, foreshadowed by darkness that would soon consume her entire online existence. Let's rewind to late 2024. Lily's TikTok was a shrine to controlled chaos. She'd post videos where she's sorting groceries with a whirlwind of energy as she slammed canned goods onto a counter, mustering about her love for the word groceries while chewing gum like it was her last meal. Her apartment was a disaster zone, half-eaten apples rotting on the floor, gum wrappers littering every surface, a vibe that screamed, "I'm a mess and I'm proud of it."
Like my messy-ass apartment. I destroy it every night. I don't mean to, but I've been in an episode for a while, which hopefully explains the half-eaten apples, if even that, and all of the gum wrappers. I went through 35 pieces of gum yesterday, an entire huge pack, as you can see. All myself ran in a week. Dramamine. Yeah, shit's difficult right now. Metaphobia's got me in a chokehold, but fuck it. Anyways, my cat does end up in jail in this video, and I'm sorry about that. She was beating up the Altoids that fell on the floor while I was trying to sleep, and she knocked some stuff off the fridge, so I put her in timeout. Sorry about that. I put the kids in the sink this time, I'm sorry. I did.
She'd trash the place nightly, then film herself cleaning it up later, all with this manic charisma that hooked viewers. "Clean My Messy-Ass Apartment," she'd titled them, admitting to episodes that left her spiraling. 35 pieces of gum in a day? Sure, a prehistoric heating system and roach droppings in the pantry? Why not? It was unhinged, it was relatable, and it worked. Within months, she'd racked up 500,000 followers, a loyal army eating up her every move. But every villain needs a catalyst, a spark to ignite the infamy. And for Lily, that spark had a name: Preston. Enter a man who'd become the internet's favorite villain, a 21-year-old with an anime girl profile pic and a Snapchat history that'd make your stomach turn. Their story starts in the murky depths of 2023, when Lily was just 16, a vulnerable kid oversharing her life online. Preston, 5 years her senior, slid into her DMs, a move that'd later raise every red flag in the book. Snapchat, that cesspool of fleeting secrets, was their playground. What started as messages morphed into something far uglier, a power dynamic that'd define Lily's descent. By the time she turned 18, Preston wasn't just her boyfriend, he was her social media manager, a puppet master whispering in her ear, steering her TikTok empire toward chaos. The internet didn't notice Preston at first. Lily's fans were too busy vibing with her cleaning rants, her quirky oversharing, her cries for attention that felt raw and real. But then the cracks started showing. Old allegations surfaced like ghosts from Preston's past. Screenshots, blurry and damning, began circulating on Reddit and X. Messages from Preston to girls as young as 15, a pattern of predatory behavior stretching back years. Victims, plural, came forward, some with photos proving they'd been close to him, others with tales of manipulation that chilled the spine. His profile pic, always that same creepy anime girl, a digital mask for a man the internet would soon dub a piece of. Lily wasn't his first target, they claimed, just his most successful one. And Lily was aware of all this. By 2024, as her fame swelled, so did the whispers about Preston's shadow over her account. She didn't hide him, not entirely. She even made a song about him, a bizarre overshared anthem that's since been scrubbed from TikTok but lives on in infamy. Fetish and a 17-year-old went really close for less, she crooned. Lyrics that'd make you cringe and question everything. Was it a cry for help? A troll? A love letter to her manipulator? No one could agree, but it was the first sign that Lily's TikTok wasn't just chaos, it was a stage, and Preston was directing the show.
22-year-old with a foot fetish, and I'm a 17-year-old who went really manic. I brought a sonic 'cause I was the youngest, yeah, he never.
This isn't just for me. This is for everyone who ever doubted me. And the millions of SoFi members who defy financial doubts every day. Because when you earn more money, save more money, and have a game plan for your finances, there's no stopping your generational ambition. Celebrate financial independence with the official bank of the NBA. SoFi, get your money right.
The real tipping point came when Lily turned 18, and Preston's influence went from subtle to suffocating. That's when the money started flowing and vanishing. 2 GoFundMes popped up, one to help Lily move out, another to buy her a car. The internet, ever eager to save a damsel in distress, poured in $21,000. Cash meant to liberate her from the troubled home life she'd hinted at in earlier posts. But 95% of that money didn't go to Lily. It went to Preston. The car, it's titled in his name. Donors expecting to fund her freedom watched in horror as the couple jetted off on a lavish holiday, blowing through cash like it was confetti. Lily later claimed she only saw $3,000 of it, that Preston controlled the rest, but the damage was done. Even after she explained that she thought she was too young to open a bank account and Preston said he could help, that's why he linked his account to the GoFundMe. So slimy. Her audience already turned. Scammers started trending alongside her name.
I'm gonna start. I feel so weird talking to a camera. God. I guess I'm gonna start off by saying I didn't think that I could make my own bank account. And you know who wanted to help me set up a GoFundMe? So he linked it to his bank account. So every donation that I got went straight to him in his bank account.
This was no one-off event. It was the blueprint for what had become Lily's legacy. Tragedy, sympathy, cash, betrayal, rinse and repeat. She'd sob into the camera begging for help, only for the funds to slip through her fingers, or Preston's, leaving fans furious and forums ablaze. Was she complicit? Brainwashed? Too young to know better? The debates raged, but one thing was clear. Lily wasn't just a victim anymore. She was a player in a game she couldn't or wouldn't escape. A leaked audio clip revealed a disturbing conversation between Lily and Preston. In the clip, a visibly shaken Lily cautioned Preston about incriminating material that he'd want to delete if a search warrant was issued. She explicitly mentioned videos and pictures taken when she was 17, implying child pornography. Despite the severity of the situation, Preston seemed unconcerned, dismissing her worries. Lily's decision to livestream the conversation fueled speculation online. Many questioned if the call was evidence of grooming or a crime. Others wondered about Lily's motive for sharing such sensitive information publicly. If she was really worried about Preston, the call should have been happening with us knowing. But she lets us know that she has videos and other materials with him that will be deemed illegal as she was a minor. And while this intensified the hate for Preston, it also raised more questions about Lily.
Except there's a little bit. Except there is a little bit.
And you think nobody gives a fuck?
Sure, nobody gives a but there are some things that you would probably want to delete if they did get, you know, a search warrant for your phone. Sorry, the dog around. I mean, he's itching.
This was the moment Callie stopped being a quirky TikTok star and became a full-blown figure of fascination, disgust, and endless speculation. Preston's past, Lily's pleas, the missing money, it was a perfect storm, and we were all caught in it. But this was just the beginning. They would come to see that the scams got bolder, the drama darker, the lies wilder. The truth remains elusive. Is Lily a manipulative fraud, secretly reveling in her deception? A vulnerable child exploited by a predator? Or perhaps something more nuanced, too unpredictable to define? The search for answers continues. The second Callie the Flower Girl crossed the age of consent, the game changed. What started as quirky cleaning videos and overshared chaos morphed into something uglier, a grift so blatant it'd leave the internet reeling. This is where Lily's degenerate crown starts to take shape, forged in the fires of betrayal, sympathy scams, and a boyfriend who turned her desperation into dollars. By mid-2024, Lily had amassed 500,000 TikTok followers, drawn to her unpolished charm, yet rumors were swirling about Preston's controlling influence. Lily had gone from an average teen to an internet sensation, but fame wasn't enough. And neither, it seemed, was integrity. 2 GoFundMe campaigns would set the stage for her notoriety, pitching a straightforward, tragic story designed to evoke sympathy. One fundraiser promised to help Lily move out of a troubled home she'd alluded to in tearful posts, while the other was to buy her a car, a symbol of independence for a girl who seemed stuck. Her ever-supportive fans donated a total of $21,000, believing they were helping her escape a difficult situation. However, the story took a dark turn as 95% of the $21,000 went directly into Preston's bank account. Donors thought they were funding her freedom. Instead, they financed a luxurious vacation for the couple. Lily claimed she only received $3,000 of the total amount raised, offering stammering excuses on TikTok. "I didn't think I could make my own bank account," she'd say, wide-eyed and frantic. Preston linked it to his, so every donation went to him. She'd glance at the GoFundMe totals like a child caught cheating, admitting she had no idea where the rest of the money went. "It was like a year's salary," she'd mutter. "A ton of money. We blew $18,000 in a month."
Money I had, other than whenever I'd look at the GoFundMe and actually look at the screen and see what was on there. But other than that, I didn't know what was on, like how much money I really had. Nor can I really grasp how much money that was. That was like a year's worth of salary. It was like someone's salary. Like that was a ton of money. But to sum it up and be I'm gonna say this got mad at his dad, so he came to Tennessee. Of course, whenever he came, I was 17, he was 22. Of course, whenever he came, I wanted to see him for longer. He was booking places for $600 a week. I never booked a single place, but I also never had access to my money. And I am not trying to take away accountability in this situation, because I know I should be held accountable, and I am more sorry than anything to everyone and anyone who felt like they had to donate to me.
Ignorance about the required donations were met with skepticism. The inconsistencies in her story raised questions. Why had she given Preston control of the funds? Why hadn't she monitored the donations? And most importantly, why was she publicly live-streaming her apologies if she was complicit in the scam? The situation presented a perplexing contradiction. Was Lily a victim or a villain? A pawn or a profiteer? The public was divided, but one thing was certain: everyone was captivated by the unfolding drama. Preston, of course, was the ghost in the machine. His fingerprints were all over this, literally. If you count the bank transfers, blurry shots of the 2 lounging in Tennessee, $600 a week rentals eating up cash Lily swore she never touched. He got mad at his dad, so he came to me, she'd say, painting him as the impulsive mastermind. Her fans split down the middle. Some saw a groomed teen, too naive to fight back. Others saw a willing accomplice, cashing in on crocodile tears. Preston's brother even got involved. A leaked phone call where he confronts him. "You spent $21,000. Now she's got $3,000? What'd you do with her?"
About blocking her, right? Just a couple months ago. How, you lied to me, right?
I mean, probably. We both did. It's not just me.
What? I just don't understand, why you feel the need to have to talk to a 17-year-old girl, Preston. I read the whole Reddit thread. Apparently you guys went on a vacation and she had $21,000 on her card, and now she has $3,000. I basically need you to tell me, what have you done with this girl? Have you had sex with this girl?
No.
Is that a lie?
I'm not going to explain any information that does not need to be said, over the phone call, because it is my life, and,
Preston, you realize that's illegal. That's a felony, right? You realize there's people trying to get police involved on Reddit and all this stuff?
I know you know what's going on. It's been going on for months.
Why do you keep involving yourself in this, Preston? It's not okay. You're grooming this girl that is in a poor situation.
The authenticity of the phone call, which ended with a defiant "It's my life" from Preston, was uncertain. It was unclear if the caller was truly his brother, but their familiarity during the heated conversation suggested a rather close relationship. This lack of accountability was a recurring pattern for Preston. In response, Lily intensified her content creation, subtly incorporating requests for financial assistance into her cleaning videos. Preston's demands for her to blast the GoFundMe were often captured in the background noise. "If I didn't, he'd get mad," Lily would later confess, her voice trembling with fear and exhaustion. "He'd say I wasn't doing enough." The internet lapped it up, a twisted spectacle that garnered a mix of pity and mockery. Her TikToks became a bizarre form of performance art, a cycle of chaos, sympathy, and cash.
A bunch of people think that I manipulated others out of money. I hope you know that the only time that I mentioned my GoFundMe, and every single time that I mentioned my GoFundMe, not to make him look bad, although the only times that I ever mentioned my GoFundMe was whenever I was being told to blast that. In every cleaning video, I was being told, hey, make a cleaning video today, and on that cleaning video, you have to talk about the GoFundMe. You have to talk about the GoFundMe, and if you don't talk about the GoFundMe, then this is going to happen. Nobody's going to see your GoFundMe. You're not going to get anything. Oh, and another thing about the GoFundMe, if I wasn't making enough money on the GoFundMe, he'd get mad at me. He'd be like, you're not doing a good enough job making a cleaning video and blast the GoFundMe, and I'd be like, I'd be mad as I'm like, bro, why do you only give a...
Meanwhile, Preston remained hidden, his online presence masked by an anime avatar, a digital grin that concealed his manipulation. He reveled in the attention while Lily bore the brunt of the criticism. The online community was captivated, their morbid curiosity fueling the drama. The line between reality and performance blurred, leaving viewers to question the authenticity of their relationship and the extent of Preston's control. Then came the dead dog scam, because of course it did. Lily posted about her family dog Rambo, sick from eating dead mice. She took him to the vet, begged for donations, and raked in cash. But Rambo was euthanized shortly after. But the GoFundMe stayed up, collecting funds for a corpse. She claims to have posted an update the day he died, but TikTok lagged behind her Instagram pleas, leaving donors in the dark.
Sorry. And for the dog, so back when that was happening, he was put down, and your post asking for donations for him was kept up for a long time. So what happened to those donations after he was already put down?
After he was put down?
Yeah, and you kept getting donations because the post stayed down.
I think that's just my savings now. I hope y'all know that I wasn't donated that money before. I wasn't donated that money before he was put down. I was donated that money.
I also donated money before because you had that post before and after.
You said people donated after.
Both.
A lot of the donations were, I posted an update after he was put down because I couldn't afford the thousands and thousands of dollars it was going to cost to save his life. Because it would have cost thousands of dollars to save his life.
You had $3,000 at the time, though.
I did, and it would have costed more than that because it was $1,000 a night at the vet.
And then you also got donations and continued to get them after he was put down because you didn't tell them until way later that you.
I told them right whenever he was being put down. I posted it the same day. I posted it minutes after. I was saying that I didn't know what to do. I didn't tell, and I wasn't like there, and I was like, oh my God, donate to me. I was saying I don't know what to do or how I'm gonna be able to afford it. From my memory, I wasn't asking for donations. People sent the donations. I said I don't know how I'll be able to afford it. This is all I have left.
In the video, Lily says that the donations she had at the time of reaching the vet was not enough to cover all the costs required to keep the dog alive, and that after it was put down, she made a post on Instagram, totally confused, saying that she didn't know what to do. The argument raised by her fans calling her out is that she left the donation post up even after the dog was already dead, raking in even more donations, the money that she says is now in her savings. Lily also apologized later in the video to everyone that donated after the dog was already put down. The truth became even more elusive when her mom's leaked text surfaced, saying that Lily seemed much better during the burial and that it felt more like a party than it did a funeral for the beloved dog Rambo, also claiming to have gotten more than enough money for a surgery that never took place. She also adds that the doctors said it was very unlikely that the dog survived the surgery due to its emaciated state. Was it true? Was it a lie? Is this woman really her mom? We don't know for sure. The lines blurred even further, making it impossible to determine if she was a scammer or simply a grieving child, because everyone grieves differently. Although it was later confirmed by Lily herself that the woman was, in fact, her mom. The confirmation came from the lyrics to one of her unpopular songs, where she said that she confided in her mother and she blasted it all online.
Callie, you're a scammer after my house burned down. They said Callie's doing drugs when I was homeless and manic as hell. Fuck you. I would the internet if my diddle didn't burn in a fire. And now I would tell my story to the world if everybody didn't call me a liar. And when I went live, everything was true. I just can't tell you now. Because when I met a stripper, they put a little spur on my mouth. And then my Uber driver told me to calm the down. And when I went to work, they recorded my ass. So I just quit my job. And when I texted my mama, she posted the screenshot. So I never text her back.
The betrayal cut deeper with every dollar. Fans who'd once adored her quirky rants now saw a con artist, or a puppet too broken to resist. Preston's absence from this scam only fueled theories. Was he lurking, directing from afar, or had Lily learned the grift herself? But we quickly come to find out that this was just the warm-up. The GoFundMes were a spark. What came next was an inferno, literally and figuratively. A house fire, a family divided, a fake pregnancy, each scam bolder, each betrayal sharper. Lily's world was unraveling, and Preston's grip was tightening. If you thought the GoFundMe grift and the dead dog scam were peak Callie the Flower Girl chaos, brace yourself, because this is where the crown gets forged in fire. Late 2024, it brought a tragedy so raw, it could have been Lily's redemption. But her family home burned to the ground, an electrical fire reducing her past to ash. But this is Lily we're talking about, a girl who turns tears into cash and trust into betrayal. The ensuing chaos wasn't a rebirth, it was a $60,000 scam-fueled disaster that ignited family conflict and severed parental ties.
Oh my god! It's not funny. I'm not supposed to do this, but I still want to go to my bedroom. I got off work and I went home. Beautiful. Dystopian, dude. Why do I have packages here? It's the Pillanders that held up the roof.
Wait, that was my tablet.
Sometime in January this year, Lily shared a heartbreaking video of her childhood home after it was destroyed in an electrical fire. The footage, quite shaky and tearful, showed the extent of the damage, with Lily providing a tour of the charred remains of the rooms that once held so many dear memories for her. The raw emotion and devastation captured in the video resonated with viewers, who watched in shock as Lily's life was turned upside down. But despite the tragedy, Lily continues to share her story, and she amassed a large following on social media while doing so. Quickly, a GoFundMe was established, and Lily claimed that all proceeds would go to her father, the homeowner who was left with nothing but smoke and debt. The plea for help to help my family rebuild after this nightmare was met with tens of thousands of dollars in donations, as high as $60,000, although the exact amount is unknown due to the many deleted pages and unclear screenshots. But her fans, still reeling from her previous controversies, saw this as an opportunity to truly save her. However, given Lily's recent history, this goodwill seemed to be misplaced every time. It was soon revealed that said money didn't reach her dad. It went to Lily, or so the story goes. And what happened next turned a tragedy into a battlefield. The first red flag? Her parents' response. Lily's dad and his girlfriend didn't just sit quietly. They started their own GoFundMe, a separate cry for help, signaling a bombshell narrative that Kai was not trusted with the funds. Withdrawals, they claimed, were inconsistent, trickling in sporadically or not at all. Lily's own flesh and blood called her out, painting her as a thief in the ashes of their home. And in a flash, TikTok imploded, with more people turning against Lily, some going as far as calling her out to be reported to the authorities. Lily fought back in the way that she could by posting cryptic defenses. "The money's going to my dad, I'm just holding it," she insisted. She adds that everybody that requested refunds have been refunded anyway, but the refund claim was a lie, or at best a half-truth. Some donors claimed they never got a dime, despite Lily's assurances. She admits in one of her now deleted videos that her father still doesn't know he's not getting a home, but the internet didn't care. Her credibility was ash already, just like the house. You're probably wondering where Preston was the whole time. Well, he's still lurking, as always. Lily hinted at his presence on a live stream that she was still technically with him, while dodging questions about his role in her life. Worries swirled among the public, especially those that donated. They wondered if he siphoned the funds, like he did with the car scam. Was he whispering in her ear again, turning tragedy into profit? No hard proof pinned him here, but his shadow loomed large. Fans pointed to her previous cleaning videos, where his off-screen demands echoed, asking her to blast the GoFundMe, and she'd obey. The house fire cash could have been his latest heist, or maybe Lily had graduated from pawn to player. But once again, we cannot exactly tell what happened with both of them. The family fallout cut deeper than the flames. Lily's mom, a figure as unhinged as her daughter, leaked text to Reddit, swirled to gawk at. She wrote that Lily sang songs on her new guitar while the dog was buried, adding that Lily shrugged off Rambo's death with cash in hand. True or exaggerated? Who knows? But the oversharing was generational, a twisted legacy of airing dirty laundry. After the house burned down, her mom kept up with posting spats with Lily to a subreddit dedicated to her downfall, in an effort to paint her as callous, rebellious, and untrustworthy amid the tussle of GoFundMe accounts. The audience lapped it up, some saying if her own mom hates her, maybe she was the problem. But no one asked why a parent would blast this kind of negative info about their child to hundreds of thousands of strangers on the internet. Lily's TikToks from this era felt like a fever dream. Half of the time she was apologizing. The other half, she's in defiance. She said that she didn't trust Preston, yet she stayed. She claims to be stranded with no vehicles, no family, and no shelter, begging for cash for Airbnb while admitting to having savings from past GoFundMe scams that were currently inaccessible to her. But then her fans and audience are skeptical about trusting her this time, and there is a cloud of doubt around them. Some say that she has money already, she just wants more, while others saw a broken girl that was too lost to escape. The house fire wasn't a scam, it was a fracture. Family against family, fans against Lily, reality against her endless lies. And now still no evidence proves she kept it all. The $60,000 figure floats in Reddit communities, backed by rage, not receipts. Her still active Cash Apps and Venmo accounts linked to her bio fueled suspicion, so they wondered, if she's not scamming, why is she still begging? But hard proof for any of these suspicions are elusive. Fans struggle to believe her now, in what seems like an actual dire request for help because of her worrisome past. $21,000 vanished, a dog's death monetized. These events cast a shadow too dark to ignore. It's the typical story of the boy who cried wolf, and internet logic assumes one is guilty until proven otherwise, and Lily's proof was ashes, literally. Still, this inferno wasn't the end, it was a midpoint. The fire exposed her, broke her family, and fed the internet's obsession. But the spiral had more to give. Domestic violence claims, a fake pregnancy, a life teetering on collapse. It seemed like Preston was tightening his grip, or was Lily actually clawing her own downfall? The house fire was a major turning point, but subsequent events transformed Callie the Flower Girl into a target of intense anger and disbelief. By 2025, Lily's TikTok was no longer just a platform for cleanup content and scams. It had become a battleground for accusations so shocking that they divided her audience. This is where the narrative takes a dark turn. and the truth becomes obscured by a number of conflicting accounts. It started with a literal bang. In January 2025, Lily and Preston's tumultuous relationship reached a boiling point, leading to a chaotic incident in a hotel lobby. The hotel's staff were forced to call the police due to the couple's loud argument, which was disturbing other guests. Following the incident, Lily took to social media, live streaming her distress and pleading with her followers for financial assistance via Venmo. She claimed that her savings were inaccessible until Monday, and that she needed money to escape the situation and retrieve her cat Twinkle, which she alleged Preston was holding hostage. This public plea left her online followers wondering if this would be the catalyst for Lily to finally end the relationship.
Cause when you live in New York, you cannot come and get me. And I can't go to New York with my family having their issues right now. How much do I need? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm sorry, Twinkle. It's gonna hurt, man. Don't you have 9K? Yeah, my savings in an account that's locked, and I need to go and get unlocked. But I can't do that till Monday because, banks are closed, and I tried to fix that today. That's what I've been trying to do, so that I can afford rent, so that I can live somewhere. That's what I'm trying to do. But I can't do that because...
After this video of her asking for help with cash to get an apartment for the night, her followers started thinking that this might be it. This might be the moment that she finally leaves Preston. Spoiler, she didn't. Preston handed over the cat and her stuff, but the drama didn't end there. Lily fled the hotel, posted a photo of an injured hand, bruised and swollen, a silent suggestion of abuse. Then came the hospital live stream where she dropped a bombshell that'd ignite TikTok. He's going to jail for domestic violence, she told viewers as a police officer loomed nearby. Simple assault. He's talking to the judge. The cop confirmed it. The state of Tennessee is pressing charges and offered her resources, including victim coalitions, counseling, and a lifeline out of hell. Lily signed a form, but checked no to pressing charges herself and sobbed, "I don't want him to get hurt." Classic Stockholm Syndrome, the internet cried. Or was it?
No, sir.
Okay, you're just not willing to do that?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm for everything.
It says, I am a victim of domestic violence and affirm that this information is correct. Let's see where that is at. What's the instructions? The entry says, possible minor loss to victim was involved. I intend to press charges or to prosecute. I'm going to check no, okay? Because no is what you said. What is today's date?
31st.
1/31/25. Okay. I check no. I need your signature and then print your name legibly there. Signature here, print it legibly here, okay?
Yeah, I just don't want to call myself a victim, you know what I mean?
Look, it's not being a victim or an offender is not what the point is. The point is that you are living a lifestyle that is hard.
I know.
Not easy, it's hard on you, it's hurting you. Okay? And sometimes people get in this rut with other people in their life that they care about and they can't hardly get out of it. Okay? And you need to be able to get out of it. Okay? So that doesn't make you a victim. You're not pulling, like some people call it, the victim card, okay? You're not doing that. Alright? When I walked in here, did you start telling me, oh, he twisted my hand, he hurt me, he done this? You didn't say none of that, did you?
Mm-hmm.
No, I seen that. Okay? And the rest of the world can see whenever you're struggling and being hurt as well. Okay? You're just going to have to step back and realize that we can see it. We just want you to be able to do something to get help for yourself. Okay?
The plot twisted fast. Preston ended up not going to jail. None of the charges stuck. And some days later, Lily spilled the tea as to why it unfolded so, saying, "The crime happened in Arkansas, not Tennessee. They wanted me to report it there."
Nobody bailed him out. He never got arrested because the crime didn't happen in Tennessee, where the hospital was. The crime happened in Arkansas. And they wanted me to make a report in Arkansas. But I fuck up.
Lily's fans reacted strongly to the hospital video, some enraged and others sympathizing with her apparent fear and injury. Despite her visible distress and injured hand, Lily refused help from her fans and drove her scooter back to Preston. Staying in an Airbnb, she claimed she was no longer with her alleged abuser, but background car horns in a video suggested otherwise. This led to online speculation about whether she was a victim of abuse or if the situation was staged for sympathy.
No, I'm not with them anymore. So I'm all alone in Memphis. No car, no house.
It's also worth noting that after the fire, Lily had a brief redemption arc where she finally decides to go get an actual job as a cleaner. The arrangement was allegedly put together by